Can you get at least 150 grams of protein per day without protein powder while still being in a calorie deficit? Of course you can. I love protein powder, but I know some of you don't use it for various reasons, and I want you to know that you can still reach your fitness goals without the use of supplements if you so choose. Hi, if you're new here, I'm Amanda, aka Fit Food AE, and today we're going to be going through 3 high protein full days of eating while on a calorie deficit without protein powder. So let's get started, shall we? So here we got day 1 of our 3 days of examples of full days of eating. First up, we've got s'mores baked oats. Now I have a bunch of baked oats recipes without protein powder. I'll link the video here, but this s'mores one happens to be my favorite. It's just so decadent and gooey and delicious. A few tips you gotta follow when making baked oats. Make sure to not over bake them. Like I would recommend erring on the side of caution with the bake time and then maybe sticking a fork in the middle to make sure it comes out clean. You just don't want them to be dry. And yeah, with the toppings, you can actually add them on top before you bake the oats. Don't worry, the marshmallows aren't gonna burn. They'll be totally fine. By the way, this mini cast iron skillet, this is a 6-inch cast iron skillet, although this recipe looks gigantic, doesn't it? You can get it on Amazon. The link is going to be in the description. I'd highly recommend getting your hands on one. I know a lot of my recipes use these mini cast iron skillets, but they're worth it. They're like 25 Canadian dollars, which is like much lower in any other currency. Next up for lunch, we got this cheesy chicken penne. Now you'll notice all my recipes are vegetarian. It's because I'm vegetarian, but you could easily just swap this with regular chicken. But if you're vegetarian, this is great because all these full days of eating don't have any meat. So if you eat meat, you'll have even more protein. But yeah, veggies of choice, chop them up. And then I made my famous protein cheese sauce. I actually included some tomato sauce in this one to make it more of a rosé flavor. But yeah, I would highly recommend getting your hands on a good blender or food processor to blend this all together. By the way, guys, all the recipes with full macros are going to be linked in the description. So for the protein pasta, I use this Calorie protein pasta. It's delicious. They have like macaroni penne and noodles, like spaghetti noodles. They're so good. I wish they would sponsor me, but I absolutely love this pasta. It tastes like normal pasta, except it's way higher in protein. It's really quick to cook as well. But yeah, basically just cook the pasta and then I dump all this cheese sauce in there, mix it all together, and then put the toppings. You could also put the toppings first and then put the cheese sauce. I mean, it doesn't really matter, does it? But look how thick and creamy that cheese sauce is. This is what makes it like macro friendly, is using the cheese sauce rather than just like melted cheese. But yeah, I love to bulk up all my pasta dishes with veggies and protein rather than using like fake shirataki noodle pasta, which is disgusting and also like not very high in protein. But yeah, look at this massive portion. It fills you up. This recipe is also perfect for meal prep as well. Would highly recommend adding this into your lunch rotation, dinner rotation, bringing it to school, work, etc. It's perfect for that. Next up, we are making mozzarella sticks as snacks. So these are actually very easy to prep ahead of time and then just put them in the freezer and then put them in the air fryer as you want to eat them. So you're using cheese strings and then crushed corn flakes. Basically, you have 4 cheese strings and then just cut them in half in order to make mozzarella sticks. You could also make giant ones if you want, but we want to make them macro friendly. So we got our dunking stations. We've got the egg wash, the flour, back to the egg wash, and then the crushed up cornflakes. You could also use panko breadcrumbs as well. I find the cornflakes give it like a very interesting crunchy texture. But yeah, when you're going to the dunking stations, make sure to not like overly cover them because then you're going to use up the toppings before you want to use them up. And we want to make them like as macro friendly as possible, if that makes sense. So basically what you have to do with so when making mozzarella sticks, after you do all these dunking stations, you have to freeze them before you put them in the air fryer. Otherwise, if you put them in the air fryer right away, the cheese is just all going to ooze out and they're just not going to be as effective, basically. You could do that, I mean, but they turn out the best when you freeze them first for 45 minutes. And again, you can freeze them for more than 45 minutes. If you want to make them like meal prep or like a dinner party or something, you could freeze them like overnight, over a couple of days, etc. And yeah, 60 calories per stick. So good. You could add like your sauces of choice. I use marinara sauce, and you can also add different seasonings of choice. I use salt, garlic powder, and paprika. Lastly, for dinner, we've got this buffalo chicken dip. Can you believe it's vegetarian, has 67 grams of protein? With regular chicken, you have even more protein. But yeah, the entire thing is 550 calories. So if you want to eat that with like celery or carrot sticks. It would make for a great dinner on its own, or you can eat half of it and pair it with like some tortilla chips or pita chips. That works too. This is a crowd pleaser too if you want to make it for a dinner party and not like a full day of eating. I'm actually making it this weekend for a delayed Friendsgiving potluck, which I'm really excited about. But yeah, this is an absolutely delicious, fun dinner. See, dinners don't have to be boring. You don't have to make like broccoli and rice and chicken for full days of eating without protein powder. You can get it and eat delicious foods like this. And then, yeah, I'm going to put the full macros on the screen for our first full day of eating. For a second full day of eating for breakfast, I'm starting off with a protein pancake bowl. Now, you guys absolutely love these recipes, so I made a bunch of versions of them without protein powder. You're getting the protein from the cottage cheese, the egg whites, and the non-fat Greek yogurt, but then the sweetness still from the monk fruit and the chocolate and all that. So you got to make sure to add monk fruit. If you don't, then it's not going to be sweet enough. I mean, you could also add like stevia or any other substitute there, but you could also mix this right in the container. You don't need to mix it in a separate bowl if you don't want to, but yeah, added some melted peanut butter on top and a little bit more of the Reese's cup, and this makes for a great no protein powder portable breakfast. Again, this is also great to bring to your work or school. You can easily meal prep it. Just make sure to not overbake it because you don't want it to be dry, but you also don't want it to be too underbaked. For lunch, we've got literally one of my favorite recipes. I eat this a disgusting amount. I literally ate it last night for dinner, and I have a portion in my fridge today to eat for lunch or dinner or whatever. It's this cheeseburger mac and cheese. We're having this for lunch today. Again, super great for meal prep. This recipe makes 4 servings. You got to caramelize the onions. That's the secret for this cheeseburger mac and cheese. So that's personally what I did. And then you could use Beyond Meat or you could use regular ground beef. And of course, we have the Calorie protein pasta. For this one, I use the macaroni. When first thinking about cheeseburger mac and cheese, I was like, hey, which toppings do I put in this? But the caramelized onions, you could also do like green onions. I just totally forgot. I was thinking of doing pickles, but then I was like, would that be weird? But I don't know. It'd be cheeseburger vibes. But yeah, it's pretty customizable. Look at that thick cheese sauce. I absolutely love this cheese sauce. High protein, makes it higher in volume, tastes delicious. Another thing you could do if you aren't a fan of nutritional yeast is you can swap Parmesan cheese. I've done it before and it tastes really good. Yeah, just added some chives to make it more cheeseburger-y. Another thing you could do is add everything bagel seasoning as well. I'm a huge fan of that. But yeah, this makes for an absolutely delicious lunch. It's perfect for meal prep. Now for a midday snack, we've got a lemon cheesecake Ninja Creamy. Now, I mean, if you're usually at work or school for snack, you could just swap this and have it for the nighttime snack, but I'm working from home and I feel like pretty much every Ninja Creamy recipe on the internet has protein powder in it. And then I got so many requests to do some without. So I have a bunch of Ninja Creamy recipes without protein powder. I will link the video here. This one in particular is my favorite. I just love the taste of it. You cannot taste the cottage cheese, so don't give me any attitude, but yeah, the texture already looks amazing. And I decided to put shortbread cookies in it, and I also crumbled it on top. I just love shortbread cookies, and I thought that gave it cool cheesecake vibes. You could also do like graham cracker crumbs. Really just any cookie that you have lying around is totally fine. But yeah, that's proof that you don't need protein powder to make a high protein Ninja Creamy. I feel like oftentimes the two go hand in hand, and usually for me they do, but they definitely don't have to. But yeah, this has only 260 calories and 31 grams of protein, and look how creamy and delicious it looks. That texture is just A1. One of my favorite recipes I make all the time, burritos. Again, great for meal prep. So taco seasoning, I usually don't even have taco seasoning on hand. I just use like whatever kind of seasonings I have. You could use like salt, garlic powder, paprika, or like cumin, that sort of thing. But yeah, I use Beyond Meat here. Again, you could use regular meat. Oh, would also, guys, highly recommend getting a rice cooker. Like it saves you so much time. I think it only costs like 25 bucks Canadian, so like much less in other currencies on Amazon, and it just saves you so much time. And then you could just use the burners on your stove for other things. But yeah, honestly, Beyond Meat's so easy to make. So guys, wrapping burritos is an art. You have to microwave the tortilla for 30 seconds. That's super important. And then just layer up the toppings like I did there. I put the cheese last and then fold it like so. Honestly, again, wrapping burritos, if you look at some of my earlier videos, I literally had no idea how to wrap burritos and they look so stupid, but this is basically the way that I do it. At Chipotle, when they like stuff it with a million toppings, I'm like, I don't even know how the tortillas aren't breaking. But yeah, so you'll see after I wrap them that I actually put all 4 of them in the air fryer. You don't have to do that. Like, let's say you're only eating one and then you're saving the rest for meal prep. Like if you don't have a family of 4, then you could just put them in the freezer. I usually put them in a plastic bag and then they freeze for probably about a week. I actually have one in my freezer right now. I might eat that later, or I might eat the pasta. I don't know. So many possibilities. But yeah, I like them to be super crispy on the top like that. So when you're putting in the air fryer, it just depends on the power of the air fryer, but make sure to maybe check a couple times throughout. And then you could also save a bit of the cheese sauce to pour on top like I did like this. Lastly, for a nighttime snack, we got chickpea blondies. Now I apologize for the like filming of this. I basically filmed it for Instagram a while ago, and I guess I didn't film it for YouTube, so the orientation is kind of weird. But either way, these are delicious. You could not taste the chickpeas. I just love blondies. I feel like I don't make blondies enough, but I just put them into like a little greased loaf pan like this, and the texture already looks so good. I think I saw Alex Earl make these, or like one of her friends, and then I just decided I need to copy her. But look at how fudgy and delicious they look. I'd highly recommend putting some sea salt on top for that sweet and salty combo. And yeah, here are the full macros for day 2. Day 3, we've got breakfast burritos for the morning. I like when the eggs have like bright orange yolks. I feel like the scrambled eggs look the best and brightest. But yeah, this recipe makes 4. I use vegan sausages. Again, you can kind of use whatever vegan sausages, regular, but anything's all good. So for eggs, you got to cook them low and slow for scrambled eggs. You can't cook them on too high heat, otherwise they're going to burn. So they might take a little bit longer, but they're going to be creamy and nice, which we love. So salt, garlic powder, paprika for the seasonings there. And yeah, make sure to use a good pan as well. I use this HexClad one. And basically you're going to sprinkle the cheese right in there. I use like a lighter one, a little bit less calories. I know in the US they also have like fat-free cheese, but they don't have that in Canada for whatever reason. But yeah, again, for the tortillas, make sure to microwave it for 30 seconds and then layer the toppings like so. Also, I have a lot of breakfast burrito recipes, so I'll link the video here so you could take a look. There's like 5 of them. So if you don't like this one, you could totally pick another one. This recipe is for 2 burritos, so just decided to make 2. I think for some of my recipes, I make 4 servings. Some of them I make 2 because I like don't want to be wasteful or whatever, but I live alone now, so kind of can't eat like a lot of foods myself before it goes bad. But yeah, these look so delicious and also very colorful with the tomatoes and the green onions. And I just love making them crispy on the top. It's very satisfying when you cut into them and you hear that crisp. For lunch, we've got one of my favorite recipes, shawarma bowls. So I made this after Osmos. Like Osmos is this shawarma place it's like all over Canada, mostly in Ontario, that I absolutely love. The garlic sauce, you're gonna make it with just like non-fat Greek yogurt and some spices and stuff. So you're gonna make that first, put it in the fridge to set. I get a lot of comments saying I need new knives or I need to sharpen the knives. I have no idea how to do that, so I'm probably just not going to do that. People are like, oh, it's dangerous. I'm like, I don't know. I think I'll be fine. So I use Beyond Steak tips. I absolutely love these. They're really expensive, but they're delicious. You can just use regular steak tips though. And then yeah, basically a huge bed of shredded lettuce. I can't find shredded lettuce in the grocery store, so I just chop it. For the garlic sauce, I just put it in a plastic bag so I can distribute it the way that it looks like that. And then obviously with the sriracha, it just looks more colorful and good. Like it just makes it look more presentable. But I'm not actually the biggest fan of sriracha, so you can leave it out if you want. If you like spicy, go ahead. For snack, we've got brownies without protein powder. So I put that, we'll have 2 of them. Again, this recipe was a bit difficult to make. Like I'm used to making brownie recipes without protein powder, but with the powdered peanut butter and then like the egg whites, Greek yogurt, like that makes it so they are still high in protein without it and still sweet and delicious. Again, you got to make sure to put monk fruit and then also the chocolate chips. But yeah, great option without protein powder. Again, I find that it's hard to find high protein, low calorie brownie recipes without protein powder because a lot of them, they're like, oh, healthy brownies, but they have all these like higher calorie ingredients in them. And that doesn't mean they're not healthy, but it's just maybe not good for a calorie deficit. But yeah, these look so delicious and gooey. Again, I prefer them to be a little bit on the underbaked side. You guys know that. But yeah, chocolate chips, I like distributing half of them in the batter and then half of them on top. And these have a bit more of a cakey texture for sure than fudgy, definitely. But if you prefer them that way, then that's great. Otherwise, maybe I can make another recipe where they're more fudgy. For dinner, we've got pizza. So this is a 10-inch cheese pizza to yourself, just 440 calories. This dough recipe is pretty standard. I've used it in a lot of my recipes, but of course you want to make sure to roll it out pretty thinly just so it's 10 inches. So I use this rolling pin and rubber mat. I'm pretty sure I got it on Temu, but just use whatever you have. And then, yeah, just kind of roll it out until you get it to be thin like this. And then with the rubber mat, it makes it pretty easy to put it right onto the baking tray. And then for the crust, yeah, just do like a little tiny thin crust like this. And I put it into a nice circle. Wow, I did a really good job. Marinara sauce, super low in calories, which is great. Just kind of spread that out. And then you're going to put the cheese. So obviously you don't want to go too crazy on the cheese. I use light shredded mozzarella. Again, if you have access to fat-free, then that's great. But yeah, otherwise just put that all over. And then you're going to bake it and also broil it at the end. My broiler, like my oven, for whatever reason, it doesn't broil, but I feel like it works really well broiling it to get that bubbly cheese at the end. You don't need a pizza cutter. You could just use scissors, but yeah, this looks so delicious and good. I just love volume eating, so cutting it into 8 slices, like that's a move. And then last up for a nighttime snack, we've got this white chocolate raspberry cheesecake without protein powder. Guys, I was so impressed with this recipe. It tastes like one of those Japanese cheesecakes. It's like light and fluffy and delicious. So I put for this full day of eating to eat half the cheesecake, just so, you know, we're under 2,000 calories. But if you want, you could eat the whole thing or 3/4 just to bring this full day of eating to around 150 grams of protein. Right now, it's just slightly below that. But yeah, I would highly recommend using an electric mixer just to blend everything together. And then, of course, for the egg whites, you have to beat them to stiff peaks separately for this recipe in order to make the cheesecake rise. This mini springform pan, you can get it on Amazon. I have it linked in the description. But yeah, basically, look at how light and fluffy and delicious this looks. Cheesecake does take effort to make, I will say, because you got to bake it and then let it cool and then put it in the fridge to set. But it's so worth it. Look at how good that looks. Oh, and the white chocolate drizzle on the top. I wish I had this in front of me right now. And I'm going to put the full macros on the screen for our third full day of eating. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed this full day of eating, then I'm sure you're looking for more recipes without protein powder. So I'll link a video here that you should watch next. And please be sure to give this a like, subscribe, and share it with your friends, as it really helps the channel. And I post new videos every week. And with that, I'll see you guys next time. Bye.